How overgrown roots can ruin your pipes. Sounds pretty serious, right? Well, there's actually this hidden battle happening right under your lawn, and your home's plumbing, it could be the biggest casualty. So today, we're going to dig into how tree roots can rack up thousands of dollars in damage.
So, let me ask you this. Is your favorite tree secretly destroying your home? It sounds dramatic, I know. I mean, you look out at that gorgeous oak tree in your yard, the one that gives you shade all summer. But what if, underneath all that beauty, it's putting your pipes in serious danger? Let's figure this out.
All right, so we're diving into this threat beneath your feet. And, the really scary part about this, it's not like a sudden storm or a burst pipe that floods your basement in minutes. No, this is way sneakier. It's like a slow, silent invasion, a creeping threat that can grow for months, even years, without you ever knowing a thing.
It all comes down to a really simple conflict, right? Nature versus your house. See, your home's pipes are vulnerable because they're full of exactly what those tree and shrub roots are looking for: moisture. They are biologically programmed to hunt for water and nutrients, and believe me, they are relentless.
So, that brings up the big question. How in the world do roots actually break in? How can something as small as a root get through a solid pipe? Well, it's a pretty fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying process.
Okay, the official term for this is root intrusion. And you got to remember, the tree isn't being evil here. It's just biology. The roots sense that water and those nutrients in your sewer lines, and they're just drawn to it. They'll do whatever it takes to get there. And for us homeowners, that can mean total chaos for our plumbing.
And here's where the age of your house really matters. A lot of older homes have these clay or cast iron sewer lines. Over the years, they naturally start to crack. Now, to you and me, that's a problem. But to a tree root, that little crack isn't a flaw. It's a wide-open invitation to come on in.
So check out these 4 stages of the whole takeover. It starts so small, you'd never notice. Stage 1, the roots just seek out moisture. Stage 2, a tiny crack in your pipe leaks a little water vapor. Then comes Stage 3, the roots force their way inside that tiny crack. And boom, Stage 4, they grow into this massive, dense web that blocks everything. Eventually, they can get so strong they literally crush the pipe from the inside out. Wild, right?
All right, that all sounds pretty scary. But the good news is, this whole process isn't completely invisible. Your house will actually give you clues. You just have to know what you're listening for.
So here's what to look out for. Think of it as your home's cry for help. Are your sinks and toilets draining super slowly? Hear any weird gurgling sounds coming from the pipes? That could be water fighting its way past a blockage. And here's a big one. If multiple drains are backing up at the same time, that's a huge red flag. It probably means the problem's in your main sewer line. Oh, and you know that one patch of lawn that's always super lush and green? Well, it might be getting some extra fertilizer from a leaking pipe right underneath.
So if you notice any, and I mean any of those signs, please don't just ignore them and hope they go away. It's time to stop being a detective and start taking action. And that means calling in the experts.
And the very first thing a professional is going to do is a camera inspection. It's pretty cool, actually. They feed this tiny camera down into your pipes to get a real look at what's going on. They can see exactly where the roots are, and more importantly, how bad the damage is. No guesswork, just a clear picture, which is absolutely critical.
And what they find with that camera determines the next step. So let's compare the options. If it's just a mild intrusion, you caught it early, they can probably use something called hydrojetting or a root cutter to just clear it all out. Simple. But if the damage is severe, if that pipe is already cracked or crushed, you could be looking at replacing whole sections of your pipe or even the entire sewer line. You can just imagine the difference in the bill, which is why catching it early is everything.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem and the fix. But what about the best strategy of all? Let's talk about building your defenses. How can you stop this from ever happening to begin with?
Here are the key proactive steps you can take. First, you can actually install root barriers underground. They work like a shield. If you're doing any new installations, make sure you're using modern PVC pipes. They're way less vulnerable. And this one's huge. Be smart about where you plant things. Don't put a tree with a super aggressive root system right on top of your sewer line. And finally, if you live in an older home with mature trees nearby, getting an annual inspection is just a really smart move.
And this quote really just says it all, doesn't it? A little foresight now can save substantial repairs later. It's so true. The whole point is that paying a little bit of attention to what's happening under your feet can save you from an absolute nightmare and a huge expense down the road.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What's really happening under your lawn? The next time you're outside admiring your yard, just take a second to think about that hidden world right beneath the grass. Because being a little bit aware today could literally save your home from a slow-motion disaster tomorrow.